look at some of the items from the upcoming Mac Frosted Firework collection, which is their Holiday 2020 collection. But before we get into today's video, I just want to welcome you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then welcome. My name is Kara. I'm a 40-year-old professional with 2 kids and a massive love of makeup. On my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. So if that sounds like it's something up your alley, just keep watching. Alright, so I was poking around on the internet the other day and ended up on the Mac website. And I realized that if you have one of the memberships to their Mac Lover program, you can shop this upcoming holiday collection early. So I did. And what's more, you can reserve it in store. So rather than me having to actually order it and get it shipped to me, I was able to reserve it in the store, and then my husband, who is the most delightful little bean there ever was, he drove to the store and picked the stuff up for me, which was so nice of him. So I didn't get everything, but I'll show you what I got. We're going to talk about the items, give you some information, swatches, eye look, the whole bit. Here we go. I picked up 2 of the lipsticks, I picked up the eyeshadow palette, and I also picked up the highlighter. I had originally wanted to get the Face Trio, but it wasn't available in the store where I was reserving my items to, so we got this one instead. So let's start with the lipsticks and then we'll move through, we'll do the eye look, and then we will wrap this up. So the lipsticks retail for $25 Canadian. There are 5 shades available. As you see, I picked up 2 of them. And I'm pleased to note that none of these shades are re-promotes, which is what they have done in the past, is that they'll put things in pretty packaging, but it's an existing shade. That's not the case with this collection, so for that, I'm very grateful. So I'm wearing both of the lipsticks right now, although you probably can't tell. But the deepest one is this shade right here. This is called Out With The Bang, and it's described as a deep, rich burgundy, and it is one of their amplified cream finishes. And then the other shade here applies rather transparent. I've got the swatches over here, but it has a lot of pretty micro glitter particles in it. And this shade is called Once Bitten Ice Shy. It is a luster finish, and it's described as a sheer white with pearl. And let me tell you, I mean, I only got these yesterday, but I can't stop wearing this one. It's so comfortable. It feels like a lip balm. The glitter just adds this like really pretty sheen to the lips, but you can't feel it at all. It's just an incredibly comfortable lipstick to wear, and it just looks so pretty. It's kind of like a sheer lip balm, but elevated a little bit. So I am actually really happy with this one. I think it's so pretty. Right now I just kind of have it patted on top of the other shade. Again, this one, this finish is really comfortable and easy to wear as well. The Amplified, it is very shiny, but it is more long lasting than typically their luster finishes are. And I will show you what the packaging looks like. So as you can see, it has that traditional MAC lipstick shape to it. You can see obviously instead of the traditional black packaging, they've gone for pink this time with a little bit of detailing along the bottom there. I'm not wild on the packaging, to be honest. They've done better in the past, in my opinion. Think last year with all the glitter that they had. Basically, if it's shiny, I'm going to like it. So that's a surefire bet for me. But also, I'm not disappointed with the packaging. At least not on this product. On this product, however, I am. So this is the Extra Dimension Skin Finish. It's available in 2 shades. And I picked up the shade Let It Glow, which is described as a frosty white, and indeed it is very frosty. So let's talk about the packaging and then we'll get into the product itself. It is obviously the highlighter that I am wearing today, but I think they dropped the ball on the packaging. So these are just like, if you can hear that, they are raised a little bit, but I would have thought even like little strips of glitter or something would have been just that much more, like a little bit extra. And then these little dots here, they're just basically painted onto the packaging, and they're not reflective enough to really complete the illusion, if you will. I think if they had maybe sunken in little tiny rhinestones or something of that sort, I think it just would have been just that much more extra, especially when you have such a reflective product on the inside. Like, it is really pretty. I like the imprinting on the highlighter itself. I love the way it looks on my skin. It is incredibly frosty without being glittery. It's a beautiful highlighter. But I just think that they missed an opportunity just to go that little extra mile with the packaging, invest just a little bit more money into it. They only release these holiday collections once a year, obviously. So just, you know, go for broke. You need to stand out in the crowd. So this one I think they could have done a little bit more with. But overall, it is a very pretty highlighter. It retails for $41 Canadian, and for that you're getting 9 grams of product. So it's not a stingy highlighter by any shot. And like I said, I think it's really, really pretty. So that then brings us to the palette. Again, I'm not super wild on the packaging. It is just a personal preference. I am not huge on this like fabric kind of finish on the outside. It feels like extremely well-worn leather. I don't think it is leather, like I think it's an actual like fabric of some sort, but that's what it reminds me of. And I just feel over time it's going to get really grungy and dirty, much like the ABH suede packaging that they have. But on the inside, you are getting 12 shades. And from what I can tell, based on the names of the shades alone, only one of them is a re-promote, and that is Carbon down here. I'm not super familiar with the MAC line. I'm not a huge MAC connoisseur, so there could be some shades that are repeats, but from what I can tell, they're not. It says online that it is a limited edition holiday palette of 12 neutral blue, green, pink, and purple eyeshadows in a range of finishes, and it retails for $52 Canadian. Now the shade names are not printed on the package, and then on the back they're all just listed in a row on a little sticker, so I don't really know what any of them are actually called, so I don't really want to try and decipher where on the swatches each shade lies. The only one I know for certain is Carbon, which is the matte black, but the rest of them have really cute names like Shook My Snow Globe, Snow Globe Trotter, Sparks and Wreck, Share My Blanket, Pyromancer, Lit My Sparkler, Plum Darling, Ride My Sleigh, Frost Smitten, Catch My Snowdrift, and Disco Snowballs. So I mean, the shade names are really cute, but that also kind of begs the question, why wouldn't you just sort of, rather than have them in this circular pattern, just do like 4x3 and have the names underneath, because you went to the extent of naming them in such a cute way. So why not share them? But at any rate, I digress. We're gonna get into the eye look, but what I found really interesting, and you'll hear me talk about it as I'm demoing how I did this look, is that the shades that I used apply darker than what they look in the pan, which is kind of surprising to me. So for this eye look here, I've kind of used this bottom half. So from here and then all of these shades down here. This shade in particular applied a lot darker than what I thought it was going to, as did these two purple foiled shades here. I'm not upset by that, but I did want to make note of it because you might expect something differently just looking at the pan. Now, this is very much a first impressions kind of video, so I have not used all of the shades on my eyes. If you guys are interested in me doing maybe like a 3 or 4 looks with this palette video, let me know in the comments down below, and then I can invest the time to do that. But I did just want to share my thoughts, at least on the shades that I have used, show you the swatches, and give you a little bit of information about the collection. So I just double checked on Instagram just to see when this collection is actually doing a wide release, and it doesn't really say. All it says is that it's going to be dropping about a week after you're able to get early access by joining their loyalty program. So I imagine by the end of this week, so it's currently the 12th of October, so I imagine by maybe the 16th of October or so, it's going to be available without having to join the loyalty program. So now that we have that information out there, let's take a look at how I did the eye look. Here we go. Hi. All right, so I'm gonna get started. Now, there are shade names listed on the back, but not in any sort of way that's gonna make any sense to me, and they're not printed on the inside of the palette, so we're just gonna rely on pointing because I have no idea what these shades are actually called, with the exception of the black. So I'm going to go in with this matte shade right here, and the brush that I am using is the 201 from BK Beauty. And I'm going to blend that all throughout the crease and up towards the brow. I did not set my eyelid primer and it shows. Soup's attractive. All right, let's try this again. So this shade appears to be applying deeper than it looks in the pan. And it's not the brush, because I just bathed all my brushes before I sat down to film, but in the pan it looks like it's going to be pretty much my skin tone, and yet it is showing up darker than what I expected. I'm not mad at that, but it's just something to note. Now that I have that applied, I want to deepen up the crease, so I'm going to go into this deep plummy purple over here, and the brush that I'm using is the number 19 from Wayne Goss. So first I'm going to apply it, just kind of pat it into the outer corner of my eye and then kind of sweep it up and around, and then I will worry about blending after I've placed where I want the shadow. I'm pleased with the way this is blending because it's not getting super patchy. The opacity is building up nicely, and yet it's still easy to blend out. I'd say that this is, again, applying a bit deeper than it looks in the pan. I mean, it is a dark shade, but you can really see that strong plummy aspect to it, whereas on the eyes it does look very much black. Not quite black, like a blackened plum, but it does look darker than it looks in the pan. Now, while that is plenty dark, I just want to go for as much drama as possible with this look, so I am going to apply the black shade just into the very outer corner. For that, I'm going to use this brush here, which is the number 13 from Rephr. Again, that shade is applying very nicely, blending in rather seamlessly with that really deep purple. It's not producing any fallout on my face. There's really not much in the way of kick up in the pan. And as you can see, it is very opaque. Okay, so I'm going to first apply this deep purple shimmer, and then I'm going to add this lighter purple on the inner portion of my lid. Sorry, and the brush that I'm using here, this is the number 2 from Rephr. And again, it looks deeper than it looks in the pan. I don't know what's up with that. I don't mind. It makes it look a little bit more dramatic on the eye, but it's just strange to me that everything looks a little bit brighter in the pan than how it translates on the eyelid. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but doesn't it look a little bit brighter there than it actually looks on? I think so. All right, I want a smaller shader brush. This one is the Volair E06. And I'm going to pick up that lighter purple shimmer here. That is a pretty shade. These shimmer shadows are really nice to work with as well. They're picking up very easily on the brush. There's a tiny bit of fallout on my cheek, but really not much to write home about. There's no glitter in these, so they're not chunky at all. They're Really pretty. They're not the most impactful, at least these two shades aren't, but they are very dramatic. I like that. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to go back to that rougher 13, just pick up a little bit of the black shade and then just really tap off the excess, and I'm just going to lightly run that under my lower lash line, making sure to connect it with this outer portion out here, and also try not to stab myself in the eye in the process. At the risk of ruining the overall look, I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to buff this shade here into the lower lash line as well, and I'm going to use the MAC 221 brush to do that. Oh, well, that's fun. On the brush, off the brush. Huh. All right. So perhaps shader brushes are the best way to go with this. Just gonna very lightly tap it off. There's still some shadow there, and we'll go for it and see what happens. It's just makeup, it washes off. We're just having fun. And this one is creating a bit of fallout, which I'm not overly surprised with considering how easily it got knocked off of the bristles. For my inner corner highlight, I'm going to use this metallic pink shade over here, and I'm going to use the Volair EO9. Is this? Yes, the EO9 brush. All right, and there you have it. There are how the products apply, how they look on my skin. I really had no issues with any of the shades that I used. I wanted to use the deeper shades in the palette just because I feel like if there's going to be any issues with the shades, it's going to lie there, also with the mattes. So I have no complaints with how the mattes or those deep shades performed. There is a little bit of fallout, as I said, but I'm not overly surprised by that, and I'm not upset about that. It's not an excessive amount. It's nothing that I can't handle. Within the palette itself, there's no disruption of those foiled shadows. Sometimes if you go in with a brush, it just, like, the shades just sort of crumble underneath it. That's not what has happened here at all. The mattes produce a tiny bit of kick up, but really nothing to even comment on, to be honest. But I do think with the packaging of the palette, I didn't mention this earlier, but I should have, because here's the outer packaging, like the unit carton. And this is what I was talking about with, like, it's reflective, so my lights are gonna be wonky. But like, these are little, like, if you can hear that, like, it's like glitter that's being glued on here. It would have made more sense to me if this was what the outer packaging of the palette looked like. This strange, like, mottled leather looking something or other. I don't know how to describe that. Like, this is so much more high class to me than this. I really would have preferred to see this on the packaging. Again, it's a minor point because ultimately I'm not applying the packaging to my face. It is the shades and how they perform that really matter. But I think that they could have just upped their game. And I think particularly with MAC, where they have been around for so long, but they really don't get the attention that they used to. I think they're gonna have to, like, up their game a bit to compete with especially all the indie brands that are out there. And these larger brands like Natasha Denona and Hourglass and everybody who's just sort of consistently killing it with their packaging. I think that MAC is really gonna have to think about their brand and just push themselves to the next level in order to compete with the new kids on the block. So those are my unsolicited 2 cents, but there we have it. If you are interested in any of these products, I'd love to hear from you what it is that's drawing your eye. Do you think you're going to pick anything up from them? What would you like to see MAC do? I have this, like, soft spot for MAC simply because they've been around for so long, and I'd love to see them thrive, but they're going to have to innovate. If you were in charge of MAC's product development, what would you come out with in order to help them sort of regain the position that they used to have in the beauty world. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that down below. But for now, I'm going to thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.